Good afternoon, Hermosa Beach. How are you doing today? You guys are in store for one of the biggest and best ceremonies Hermosa Beach has ever seen. Thank you.
Today we're here to honor four of the greatest ever from the South Bay. Barela, Benavidez, Levy, and Dennis Jarvis, Spider-Man. And I want to welcome you all for coming this year and thank you. And if you get a chance today, walk out on the pier and look at the plaques. All of these, there's about 30 of these plaques on the pier documenting the accomplishments of all the surfers in the Walk of Fame, and it'll give you a chance to see actually who's on the pier. Hey, again, thank you for coming. 1hr8min.
Thank you, JJ. I've admired and looked up to this gentleman for many years as I've developed my civic involvement in the community. He's inspired me to not only give back to the community, but also to give back to our surfing culture. So thank you, JJ. Like I said earlier, welcome to one of the biggest ceremonies for the Surfers Walk of Fame that we do. Thank you guys all for spending your Saturday with us. It really means a lot, not only to Hermosa Beach, but to the inductees and the past inductees. So big round of applause for everybody who made it this morning. Thank you. And right now, I'd like to introduce you to Mayor Pete Tucker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honey. I want to welcome everyone to the best little beach city. This event has grown, as he indicated earlier, to what it is today. These inductees are voted in by their peers. It's not by the city council or commission, so we have nothing to do with this. But everyone that's inducted here today and in the past deserves that honor because it was done by their peers and they understand their dedication and commitment to the sport of surfing. Hermosa Beach is where surfing really started. We had all the great manufacturers here for probably the last 60 years. It started back in the 20s with boards that were probably 14 to 18 feet long, made out of redwood. And we are the best little beach city, but also this is the real HB. This is Surf City. See, we have this great, all the manufacturers are here, and this is a great family event, and it'll continue to be a family event because this is another field of dreams. To the north and south of the pier, we have the volleyball courts, which are the field of dream for the young volleyball players who end up being professionals. But I just want to welcome you all. This is a beautiful day for this ceremony. And I'll step back now and let the ceremonies begin. Thank you all for coming.
All right, now what we're going to do is introduce you to the current people that are on the pier that have been recognized at this ceremony in the past. A lot of them are sitting among you, standing next to you. You probably don't even know who they are. So could I get anyone that has been inducted, pioneer, honorary, or charter, please stand up, or if you're standing in the back, some way I can recognize you and announce you. Please, don't be shy. Those of you in the back, remember, I need to be able to track you down. I'll look for you in just a second. First of all, on my right over here, of course, you knew this would happen. The first one to stand, Mike Purpose, one of the all-time greatest ever. Next to Mike Purpose, standing right here, is someone everybody has to love. This gentleman, Hap Jacobs. In the back row, in the blue shirt and the white hat, we have Sonny Vardaman. Sonny. In here, in sort of the yucky blue shirt with the shades, someone who has never aged, Don Craig. You won't believe how old he actually is. And next to him in the same row, we have Chris Bredesen. Back there with the bald head and the big hat, Tiger Macon in the green shirt. Tiger. Coming down in front, and someone that we all wish we had his job, for 20 years, head lifeguard at Malibu Surfrider Beach, John Baker. Next to him, we have an all-time surfer, big wave rider, Vietnam chopper pilot, war hero, Pef Ike. Pef, thank you. Stay standing. I think I have everybody in the chairs. I'm going to start over here. Who do I have over? Oh, over here in the green hat, next to the beautiful lady in the pink dress, Levy. Did I miss anybody else in the chair area? Who? I forgot Chris Bredesen with a Pipe Master shirt on. How can I forget Chris? I've seen so much of him from behind, if you've ever surfed with him. Okay, well, these are the people here. These are people you get a chance to talk to, photos with today. They are what started this place as the original Surf City. Thank you all for coming. Now we're going to get on to the program. The very first person we're going to induct is Mike Benavidez.
And speaking on behalf and introducing Mike will be Tuzo Jerger, legendary waterman from the community who ran one of the longest surf camps in the community. I'd like you to introduce Tuzo Jerger.
My goodness, what a crowd. Mike, how did you keep so much hair? I was asked to speak just a few words for Mike, and more or less, he's very shy and bashful. He's extremely unassuming, and if you go to the Hercules bar once in a while, you can barely talk to the guy. He's explicitly shy. I loved all these big words. I learned them. And one would never believe that if Mike were to come up, you'd never hear him. He's so peaceful. He's genuine. He's very reserved. So I get to do some of the honors, and you know, it's nice to be back here in Hermosa Beach. It's a wonderful town. It's a beautiful city. And as being honored to do this, the Hermosa Surfers Walk of Fame is an unbelievable presentation and recognition of some of these great kids. And I call them kids because that's what they were at one time. And I congratulate all his fellow inductees, Dennis Jarvis, Derek Levy, obviously Chris Barela and Mike Benavidez. And these were kids that I grew up with and recognized and thought that they were going to do something. And they've done some neat things in life, so we take our hats off to them. I met Mike as a very youthful teenager, living at Doc's house around the corner. Mike was one of the proteges with Mike. And Benny, we call him Benny for short. It means nothing else. He's a very spiritual young man. I call him young still. And he loves the ocean. He'll do anything to preserve that ocean, that Pacific Ocean. Mike, along with Chris Barela and the likes of Dennis Jarvis and Derek Levy, they're all young California, kind of a crop that was nurturing in the spirit of competition or surf competition. And eventually they would become sort of a force to reckon with. You know, we were getting our booties kicked by the Australians, the Hawaiians, and the South Africans. And all of a sudden this little crop comes along. Along the coast, there are other folks involved, even the likes of Tiger, which I remember dearly. But as things grew along and matured, we were able to at least get our foothold in the competition scene, and was fortunate enough with the likes of Kip Jerger, my younger brother with the hair, not Derek, but Rocky Sabo, Mike Purpose, Chris Barela, Chris Frohoff, and the likes of Michael. We were able to capture some of the nice benefits of their surfing talents, and that was through the big Caton World Competition. So my hat goes off to these kids and what they've done. Again, they're not kids, and I really appreciate having to at least be able to get up here and say hello to everybody from Hermosa Beach. I won't bore you any longer, but Michael, it's your turn. Get over here.
thank the committee of Hermosa Beach Surf Walk of Fame. And
See how shy he is? Come on, loosen up.
all right. Yeah.
There we go.
And I'll do everything to keep the Hermosa Pier alive and well. And this is truly a wonderful honor. Congratulations to the inductees. And special thanks to E.T., Kanoa, Mike Purpose, and Body Glove. You all have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you all. I don't know if you heard what Benny said, but he's so excited about being on that boardwalk that every once in a while he'll come here and step on himself. So at least, hopefully, he'll live for eternity, right, Levy? Congratulations.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause. That was awesome. Heartfelt speech. Couldn't ask for anything. Our next inductee, local legend, big wave charger, is a gentleman that I got to know later on in my local surfing life. And he was the first dude to come over and put me under his wing as the Board Riders Club was developing. And I had the privilege and honor to watch him nurture the next generation of Board Riders Club contestants, making sure that they know how to run their heats, know how to paddle out, put their jersey on, more importantly. And personally, this man is an indicator. When I see a big red surfboard out at the break wall, I know it's too big for me. So that's when I stay on the beach and watch. Next inductee is going to be Levy, and introducing him will be his brother, a former a current Walk of Fame inductee and member, Mark Levy. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Okay. Wow, this is amazing. How many people even know Derek here? And that's part of the point of this thing. I mean, it's like Derek, wherever he goes, he has this orbit, and the orbit is just like a hurricane, just pulls more and more people into his orbit, and it's a positive orbit. And so that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today. I mean, Derek is a great surfer. I mean, I'll have a couple examples, but I mean, that's a given. But what's really cool about Derek is that, you know, in his orbit, you know, he influences these people in a positive way and makes the world a better place. He makes our town a better place. He's, you know, all these little kids that he's helped learn how to teach how to surf. All these people he's saved, as he's not even a lifeguard, and I think he saved more people than, seriously. I mean, Derek's got eyesight like you can't even believe. He can see things happening. He has like 20/12 eyesight. Seriously, the doctor, you know, when they first found this, the doctor had the whole office come in to check this kid out because he has this amazing vision. But he sees things, and he has ocean knowledge like probably better than anybody I've ever met, which is pretty impressive, you know, and that's one reason why he's a great surfer. I mean, yes, he's an excellent athlete and all the rest, but so anyway, I'm gonna, you know, want to make this case that Derek's a great surfer, but the main thing, if you leave anything away from me talking about Derek today, is that, you know, he's a great person. And that's the legacy, you know, about Derek. You know, and that's why he's on the pier. So I'm just going to talk about a couple things, you know, and another thing about Derek being a great surfer, you know, he cut his chop with these really good guys, Benny and Barela and Jarvis. These guys were great surfers, and these guys were battling it in the 70s and the 80s around here. I mean, anybody who's anybody knew these kids. And, you know, they all looked up to them. There's stories, folklore that kind of follow these guys. And Derek was right in the thick of it. But he left a positive influence behind him, which is I think is the coolest thing. In the 80s, when Dewey Weber started the Dewey Weber Longboard Classic contest, that was a pretty seminal moment in the history of surfing, because those contests pretty much brought back longboard surfing to the world. Before that, longboard surfing had kind of died off. And Derek, who's just a snot-nosed kid from Hermosa, enters the contest, you know, basically, for all intents and purposes, borrows a board off the beach to surf in the first Dewey Weber longboard contest. And with some of the best surfers of all time, David Nuiva, Donald Takayama, Peter Townend, who's here today. I mean, the list goes on, Nat Young. You know, Derek held his own, and he made the finals every year that contest was held, and even won it, like I think it's 1986 or something like that. This young kid who doesn't even know how to ride a longboard just finds a way to win. You know, he's creative, He uses his ocean sense that I mentioned earlier. He's flamboyant as all get out. I mean, you know, Derek's not a nose riding classic great longboard surfer in that sense, but he's a great longboard surfer in the sense that he knows how to ride the wave, and he knows how to, you know, please the judges in the crowd. There's stupid stuff like he would do during the contest, and a lot of the same guys in the audience right now were probably there watching, but Derek would do stuff like, you know, you see the pier with the pilings, and he'd ride the wave through the pier, which, you know, is a fairly common maneuver for a lot of folks maybe. But then he'd turn on the other side of the pier and come back on the same wave. Just goofy stuff, or, you know, riding a wave and riding the wave in, and a competitor's board that was loose would be in front of him. And he'd grab a board off the whitewater and then jump on the other board and ride the other guy's board into shore. You know, Derek is he just has this flair for the dramatic, and and so people remember Derek for that. And I think from that longboard contest at Dewey Weber, you know, I think a lot of people realized what a great all-around surfer he was. And another thing, most recently, the South Bay Board Riders Club, which Derek helped found, and Derek helped found all kinds of stuff. And he's in the thick of all this stuff, always giving of himself. But the South Bay Board Riders founded this cool competition in the South Bay called the South Bay Board Riders Big Wave Challenge. And Derek's been a finalist every year in that thing. I mean, and Derek is like fearless in big waves. And not only does he fearless in riding them, but he rides them extremely well. If you saw the cover of Easy Reader this week, there's a picture of Derek there must be 25 or 30 feet of water behind him, white water. And Derek is sitting there at the bottom of all that, riding the wave. You know, the thing about riding big waves with Derek is that, I mean, he has like a hunger for it. Sort of like those guys that are storm chasers, you know, they want to, you know, see the tornado and they wait all year maybe to get close to a tornado. Well, Derek does that for surfing. He's the guy that's sitting the furthest out all by himself. You know, and he'll wait for hours. I mean, I don't know how he does this. You know, it's like, I just want to ride waves, you know, and Derek is sitting there, you know, out to sea sometimes. You wonder, what's that guy doing out there? Then all of a sudden, the set of the day will come in, and Derek will nab one of those waves, and he'll rip it. And there's like I don't know if anyone got a chance to be upstairs on Hennessy's, but there's a ton of pictures of Derek riding huge waves. A lot by Randy Ruby and all the other great photographers in the area. And you'll see, I mean, Derek just charges this stuff. And these are days where, like out here at Hermosa Pier, the waves are hitting the bottom of the pier. I mean, it's terrifying stuff. Nobody should be out there. And Derek and just a few other intrepid guys like Randy Maestrel, they're out there charging this stuff, which is pretty impressive. So, I made a lot of notes. I was going to speak. They said I had an hour earlier, and so I'm going fast. So I want to make this point about Derek being influential, and I think you're getting a little bit, but it's more than being just a good surfer. You know, Derek is a really good waterman overall. You know, yes, short boards, long boards, big waves, small waves. Derek can do that. That's kind of like, that's a de rigueur for Derek. But you know, he's done all kinds of cool stuff. He founded the Southern California Paddleboard Club, and with his friends and other folks, they paddled all these really cool channels around the world, like the Loch Ness and the Catalina Channel, of course, English Channel, the Irish Sea. He paddled with Michael Lee, one of the great architects in the South Bay, and Jeff Horn, a captain of the guards. They paddled from Havana, Cuba to Key West, Florida. Freaking 100 miles. You know, overnight, all this whole thing. And these guys have adventures to talk about. And it's because of that is paddleboarding kind of got a new resurgence. Just like Derek was part of the resurgence of longboarding, Derek was part of the resurgence of paddleboarding in California and around the world. And with Paul Hennessy of the Hennessy's Taverns, they organized a series of events where they took paddleboarding competitions all around the world, France and Australia and Fiji, Mexico, and of course here. And Derek was in the thick of all of that. With Tim Ritter was another guy that helped do all that. Let's see. He's done a ton of stuff. You know, like Derek's won the International Body Surfing Championships. I mean, body surfing. Derek doesn't do it, and yet he goes out there and kicks ass. Kick my ass. By the way, guys, I'm biased. You know, I'm his brother, but this stuff is true. This stuff is really true. He's kayaked with David Powdrell and John Beardsmore, who's in the audience, almost the entire California coast from Oregon to Mexico. Let's see. A couple really cool things here I wanted to mention. He's got this current effort right now where he's running and swimming from Zuma Beach to Mexico. And I think he's gone 100 miles He's down in Point Loma right now, and when I say running and swimming, this is one of the many events that he organizes. And there's one rule in the event, you know, if you can run on the beach as long as you can, but the thing is, if there's a pier or a jetty or a harbor, any kind of man-made obstruction, you have to swim around it. And you got to imagine, from Zuma to Mexico, there's a lot of man-made obstructions. One case in point is the LA harbor, which required about almost 10 miles of swimming. So Derek is 100 miles now. He's on the verge of eating tacos in Tijuana. So it's pretty cool. So. Okay, so Derek, I mentioned all this amazing great wave knowledge, and like he's, again, saved all these people. Just like a month ago, we're surfing out in North Manhattan, and it's like all these guys are out there, and we're doing our thing, and Derek's gone. He comes back out, and he goes, oh yeah, I just saved a couple girls. It turns out these gals, these teenage girls got swept. This is a true story. They got swept out. We didn't see this. But of course, Derek, who's like got radar vision, you know, picks this thing up, realizes there's a train wreck about to happen, and nabs these girls who are going under. They're crying, they're panicking. Lifeguard wasn't around. Derek got them to shore and calmly went back out surfing. And I'm telling you, Derek has saved more people than I can imagine. So I guess I'm running out of time now, but I digress. So, you know, Derek is a good guy, and that's the thing you should get from this thing. He's a great surfer, but he's a good guy, and we're lucky. Our kids are lucky that he's around here, setting an example, you know, being a role model. Bring it on. And you know, Derek. One last thing about Derek is that he's the kind of guy that would give you the shirt off his back, and I mean this literally. You say, hey, Derek, nice shirt, and he starts taking it off, trying to give it to you. I've seen him give away surfboards, sunglasses. I mean, he's just like such a giving guy, and he gives of his time, which is probably the best thing any of us can give each other. And you know, that's a really good legacy right there. So the last thing is, you know, how we live our lives matter. You know, it's like, it's not just that you're a great surfer, but it's like how you surf, you know, and are you a good guy? You know, are you a good guy on the beach? And Derek is all that.
We were running ahead of schedule, that's what we learned from Mark. Actually, our next guy is just someone we all love, Derek Levy.
How do I back up that speech? Excuse me. I've been in a guy's shadow all my life. Excuse me. I'm a bit, man, choked up. Hey, the best surfer I know, and the biggest influence in my life. The biggest influence on my surfing life, and besides my father, the largest impact of my life is my brother Mark. Mark he's taught me, he's protected me. God darn. There you go, patio, wherever you're at. Anyhow, Mark and I wouldn't be standing here without my brother Mark. I mean, the guy pushed me, and I can't thank him enough. Our personalities are diametrically different, I gotta tell you that. It's like he was adopted or dropped on his head. But I don't think there's two brothers that are closer, so I want to thank my brother for letting his little brother tag along after all the years. John Joseph gives so much to our surf community. He's like the hardest working man in the South Bay surf group. So he's like James Brown. Good God. I gotta thank the Hermosa Beach Parks and Recreation staff for the fabulous work they do on the Walk of Fame. It shows it's the coolest event every year of the year in Hermosa Beach. So thank you, staff. To the Walk of Fame esteemed judges that are here, thank you so much for your much appreciated votes. I was so stoked just to be nominated. but to be inducted, I'm stunned. So thank you very much. To my future fellow inductees I see out here that were introduced earlier, I'm honored to be invited to join your August club and community, and I plan to represent our group well. To my fellow inductees, Mike, Dennis, and Chris, congratulations, fellas. You know, it's a deserved and honest honor you guys deserve, and I'm so stoked for every one of you, and thanks for having me. Those guys are just such accomplished and fabulous surfers that kicked my ass so many times, but I'm stoked to be a part of their group. So thank you. I gotta tell you, this is gonna be the most boring speech in the history of mankind. Because I have people to thank, and I have to show these people and just show my love for them for what they did to get me here. And the first one's the hardest. It's gonna be my dad. I'd like to dedicate, actually, the honor I'm receiving today to my father, Saul Levy. My dad worked so hard and sacrificed so much to keep our family happy and healthy. Here it comes again. Jeez. Happy and healthy here in Hermosa Beach. You know, in his infinite wisdom, he raised us here in Hermosa Beach, keeping the ocean central to our upbringing. He would cart Mark and I up and down the coast, across the nation, and even, you know, for a surf contest. He went around the world with us to support us in our paddleboard exploits. He put up with my countless misadventures, including, but not limited to, car crashes, sunk boats, multiple trips to the emergency room, lost at sea alert. Remember that one, Dad? And even he was in the back seat of a car when we were in Mexico. We got in this high-speed car chase, which was really cool. I remember that. So anyhow, Dad, you know, surfing with you for all these years has been a fantastic gift that I'll never be able to repay you. But I plan on passing on that tradition to your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So. Mary Welsh, God love her. She's my dad's longtime girlfriend. Here's the deal with Mary. For half a century now, every meal conversation we had dominated by surf-related topics, like, hey, my new board sucks, or there's a good riptide at First Street, or that Tanya Horton guy got a great tube ride this morning, you know? So, Mary, you are the best. I love you. Thanks for putting up with us knuckleheads. Now, I'm going to digress here. The rest of you women out here that are in a relationship with a woman, I love you. I love you. I'll give you my phone number. That are in a relationship with one of us surfers, I apologize right now to you. You know, a shift in the wind may mean, hey, sweetheart, I'm going to be late to the barbecue or some such nonsense. So thank you, ladies, for putting up with us, and I apologize, but you guys are just a special breed. My wife, the lovely Brenda, she is a prime example of you ladies. We are proud parents of 1-year-old twin boys, Riley and Travis. And as you can guess, it takes a lot of time and effort right now, and she knows that, and I know that, but still, every day she encourages me to go, hey, Derek, go catch a couple waves, because it makes me a better person, makes me happy, and I love you for it, sweetheart. Thank you, and thanks for understanding my surf craziness. And I'm going to carry that a bit further. I have 3 older children, Samantha, Molly, and Luke. Since they were born, every spare moment we went to the beach. Any family vacation, I had to take my surfboard because you just never know, right, John? So I immersed them in the surf culture, whether they liked it or not, and I really appreciate you guys supporting your father, and I love you so much. Way back when I was learning how to surf on those blue and yellow surf mats that we rented when we were kids, down on Marine Street, with my brothers Nace and Mark and Matt Jacobs in here. We paddle out, catch waves, spin out the bottom, swim and get the mat, and rinse and repeat. There's a cool group down there called the Marine Street Crabs. And these guys touched me. Guys like Dennis the Seahawk Cassidy, King Crab Marty McBee, and Ronnie Gardner. Those guys would lend us their UFOs and their 422 surfboards and just encourage us little guys to go surf. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Mike Purpose. God love the guy. He's had such a positive influence on my life. Michael, thank you for all the surf trips, the ocean knowledge, and all those crazy exaggerated stories you tell. We love you, Mike. The First Street guys that I grew up with are still huge in my life. We still travel together, we still hang together. Greatest guys in the world. We push each other constantly with good-natured competitiveness and humor. Outstanding characters like Todd Togger, John Mayer, Cam Evans, Jay Russell, Greg Thompson, Johnny Ludlow, Lee Walker, and David Padrell. Thank you guys. You're a huge reason why I'm standing here today, the way you guys pushed me and took care of me. Tim Ritter, he's up here. He was up there. Tim Ritter, right there, he's got his hand up. Tim, give us a wave. Tim Ritter spearheaded all the paddleboard trips around the world, and I got to thank Tim for taking me around the world a few times. He revived paddleboarding in Southern California, and the ripple effect went around the world. So Tim Ritter, thank you for the ride. Charlie Dinger and John Matisich, Jimmy Cowherd, Ben Burkhalter, Jeff Horn, and Michael Lee. These guys all dragged me across those crazy expensive water and channels, and thank you guys for carrying me along. I do appreciate it, fellas. By the way, a quick note on Mike Lee. A couple years ago, Mike Lee dragged Randy Maestro and I out into the largest waves I've ever seen in the South Bay in my life. And just for the record, to shut Randy Maestro up, Mike Lee got the largest wave that day. Absolutely. Randy Maestro. Oh, man. Fucking Randy. That guy, to this day, still pushes me mentally and physically when it comes to riding large surf. Randy is fearless and gung-ho, and I just get caught in his slipstream. You know, so Randy, thanks for the ride. I'm in next year. I'm almost done here. I need to thank Mike and Bev Collins and the late Alan Kostler. They gave me my first job at Jacob Surfboards up on the highway, and they also supported me in my burgeoning competitive surf career. So thank you guys. I'm talking about Jacob Surfboards. Tab Jacobs. That man is a bona fide hero of mine, and I'm proud to be able to call him my friend. Thank you, Hap. Dewey Weber was such a nice guy, and he was kind enough to give me a spot on his ultra-competitive surf team, and I want to thank you for that, Dewey. Thank you. Phil Becker also found me a spot, and I served under his banner for a couple of years, so thank you, Phil. I'm always feeling like right now I feel so out of place. This is so surreal. I mean, there's so many of my heroes out here, and there's guys that I'm like, why am I up here, and why is me up here, and it's just so strange. So I don't know, it's a strange thing, but I'm stoked, no doubt. But thank you, Phil Becker, for supporting me and giving me a spot on your team. I got to thank Pat Reardon. Pat Reardon has made me progressive and beautiful surfboards and paddleboards since we were at Maricosta High School together. So right on, Patio. Body Glove Wetsuits. Body Glove Wetsuits has kept it summer on the inside for me for over 40 years. So thank you to the Maestro families. Patty Maestro sitting right there, so beautiful. Thank you so much. Paul Hennessy. Get that wallet out, brother. He paid my way around the world a couple times on these nonsense, silly paddles. So I love you, Paul. Thank you so much. Paul Hennessy's right there with you. So generous. We have some uber talented photographers in the South Bay. Guys like Kenny Pagliaro and Brad Jacobson, Charlie Burgesh and Randy Ruby, Brent Broza, John DeTemple. I'm forgetting someone. Martycam. Oh, I'm sorry. Martycam and Mike McIntyre. They're all here. And if I'm missing your name, I suck. That's fine. I did say Balzer, didn't I? Check it out. I had it Charlie Bergesh and Mike Balzer, the two B's in my head. I lost it. Sorry, Mike. Anyhow, these guys, I tell you what, if I'm in the water and any one of these lensmen, if they're on the beach taking pictures, I go crazy. I'm like a 13-year-old surf rat doing anything and everything to get my picture taken. And then I'm on the horn room trying to figure out if they got some good shots. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Almost done. Kevin Cody! Oh my God! Thank you for all the coverage over the years. Thank you for this week's Easy Reader. If you haven't seen it, it's awesome. Thank you guys. If I did not mention your name today, guys, it's an oversight. They're about ready to give me the hook here. I apologize. If I did mention your name, if I did mention your name, thank you again. They're going to give me this wooden plaque. If I could break it up in pieces, each and every one of you that I mentioned today deserves a chunk of it for what you contributed to get me today. A heartfelt thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, the Levy brothers, for getting back on our normal schedule. Behind.
Our next inductee is Chris Barela, and speaking on behalf of Chris is legendary longtime South Bay lifeguard Kip Jurgens.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see everybody out here. I hope you're not cooking too much. There's John Baker. He's got his classic sun hat on. I recognize a bunch of faces. PT. There's Kevin Cody. Gus McConnell. The Surfing Santa Claus. They're all here. Good to see you guys. I have so much to say, and I had so many thoughts I had to put it on paper last night at about 12 midnight. So here it is. Oxnard, 1992. Point Magoo. The sky's blue. It's a hot August day with 4 to 6 foot swell. With big lulls between the sets. The beach is empty. And it's one of those days that you remember because you're at your secret spot. The waves are great and no one is there but you and your best buddy. I was on my board next to the great Chris Barela, stoked and surfing some of the funnest waves of my life. I'm thinking, my life can't get any better. But then it does. Chris just paddled back after having caught a 6-foot barrel and ripping the snot out of it. We relaxed and smiled, and we looked at all the beauty around us. A little bump of a swell came around the corner off the point. It was only about 1 foot high. And before I could decide what was happening, 2 10-foot male bottlenose dolphins launched out of the swell, rocketing 8 feet high in the air and moved at the speed of light like 2 shiny torpedoes. They began to descend, and in their downward arc, they were headed straight for Barela's head. I was paralyzed, unable to even squawk, "Look out!" No, I just watched this Barela, alert and agile, tipped his board to the right, then to the left, bobbled a little downward, just so, dodging the 2 dolphins who landed on either side of him. Like a 10-point Olympic divers, they sent just a tiny splash over both of us. I heard male dolphins can reach the weight up to 1,500 pounds, and I'm sure these 2 weighed in the top of that scale. Oh my God, that scared the crap out of me. I hooted. "Me too, Kip," Barela said. "But you look so calm," I said. "No, man, I was scared to death," he answered. But hey, Kip, this is what life is. These moments, scared or not, we just have, and we had a peak experience. Look at us at this place. We laughed. I know he was right. I've known Chris for over 40 years, and I have lots of great stories to tell about him. But when people ask me, what's my favorite story about Chris? The one about the Dolphins, it is. Because Chris showed me how focused he is, even in the Stoke, even in the pivotal moment. And I think that what makes him a great surfer, and that's what makes him a great man. He is an artist on land, in the water, and in life. When it comes down to it, that's how I think of him always. Chris loves the water, and of course, and according to his mom, Barbara Barela, that love became early. When he was 3, and Barela was on his mom's shoulders down at 10th Street here in Hermosa Beach as she took him out into the big set and jumped over the waves. He loved it. And as soon as he could go in the water by himself, he was riding a rented surf mats and begging his brother, Howard E. Gallo, to lend him his surfboard. At the age of 10, he was already a dedicated surfer. From his house in Redondo, he rode his bike every day, summer day to Hermosa Beach to ride the waves at 10th Street. A guy named Terry Stevens lived just a few doors down from Chris Barela. Yeah, big hand for Terry Stevens. Woo! God rest his soul. And Chris started tagging around him, trying to learn more about the sport. One day, when Chris was 12, he and Terry were standing at Hermosa Pier, and they silently watched a great surfer in the water below, ripping it up. See that guy? Terry said, and pointing, that's Mike Purpose. Chris was pretty impressed with Mike's style. Yeah, Mike deserves a big hand, always. And that was a little hoot by Terry. If everybody remembers that one, when he was around. Terry said, pointing, that's Mike Purpose. Chris was pretty impressed by Mike's style, but he was truly impressed when Terry said, that's Purpose. He gets paid to surf. Paid to surf? Light bulbs went off in Barela's head. I want to get paid to surf, he blurted out. Well, you can, Terry said thoughtfully, if you practice hard enough. From that day onward, Chris followed Terry around like a shadow, trying to learn everything he could from his mentor. By the age of 14, Chris was the WSA state champion. He was invited by the WSA to surf in the World Championship in Hawaii at Ala Moana, where he came in 3rd. After that success, everything started to come together. He got noticed. He got sponsors. At the age of 16, he returned to Hawaii. This time, he went as a member of Mike Purpose's surf team, and his childhood dream was already fulfilled. Chris asked me to take a moment here to express his thanks and his debt for the gratitude to Terry Stevens in memoriam of helping him as he started out and for getting him onto that all-important surf team. On Perp's team, Chris surfed with Mike Benavidez and Elizabeth Benavidez, and they all traveled the contest circuit and competed in the International Professional Surfing Circuit. At this point, Chris was able to get sponsors like Body Glove and Kanoa Surf. Kanoa believed in the team, and it was our honor to help Chris put together his proposals. We made sure he had gear and money, and we were happy to send him out in those trips. He went to Australia, Hawaii, Japan, Brazil, and South Africa. Chris fondly recalls one trip to the Philippines with my brother Tuzo, who was serving as Chris's manager, Randy Rarick, and the surfing magazine photographer Kurt Ader. The magazine was doing an editorial on Chris. Later, he also made the cover. Barela flew on a biplane to islands he had never seen, and these people had never seen cars before. His favorite story was about stepping onto an island, and the inhabitants ran out to meet him, saying, "You must be God. You have a boat that goes so fast with no motor, and it flies." In the early 1970s, Chris was a professional surfing champion, and surfing took a slump in California. Australians and Hawaiians were walking away with all the trophies. Just ask PT. Chris Barela, Mike Purpose, Alan Sarlo, Terry Stevens, and Mike Benavidez put California back on the map. Chris was an amazing surfer. He had the ability to draw an aggressive, artistic line on the wave and an uncanny, cat-like tube riding ability, which made him a standout amongst professionals. I remember watching him on the North Shore of Oahu at Jocko's in 1978 in a Northwest swell combo. It was breaking in a manner so unusual. I watched for a while, but before I had even scoped it out, Chris took off on a 20-foot face, dropping in on a 5'4" Max McDonald Kanoa twin fin. Way back in the pit, the wave doubled up. It looked like it was going to section, and then it backed off. The lip pitched out 15 feet, creating a giant sucking barrel, and Chris rode deep in the tube with determination, power, and grace that looked easy. I was floored by his pure skill and his unbounded, successful aggression. After 8 years of professional surfing, Chris retired at a young age of 24. He started several businesses that kept him close to the ocean: a surf shop, a clothing company called The Cat, a painting company, which he was very successful at and became a master of staining. He created a remote-controlled miniature surfer by the name of Kuda. The process of creating that innovative toy led him to bronze sculpting. Chris presently lives on the Big Island of Hawaii, where he owns a 4,000 square foot art gallery. His artworks are in 40 galleries all over the world, including right here. And of course, he created the famous body glove dive and surf Maestro Brothers monument in Redondo. Not to mention, yes, what a beautiful thing that was, an incredible piece of artwork. Monument in Redondo. Not to mention the statue of Tim Kelly right here standing behind us. You can see Barela's artwork on the web at barelaart.com, spelled with 2 A's. And if you're interested, he's unveiling a brand new piece August 15th up at Manhattan Mall at 6 p.m. right in front of the Apple Store. In conclusion, April 8th, excuse me, thank you. In conclusion, all the things are really important, but even more important to me is that Chris Barela is a great guy. I was with him in Hawaii when he won the National Arm Wrestling Championships. He was my neighbor in Malibu while he was starting his bronze business. He could not only dive in the water, but once I saw him dive into the street, truly dive, to save a child that was about to wander in front of a car. I saw him untangle a foul propeller on the support boat for the TV show Baywatch, in the middle of big surf with all his clothes on, saving the cast and crew. Back in the day, Maricosta High School nominated a football player for the king of the high school. His senior year, they nominated a surfer named Chris Barela. I know why. I'm honored to know him. I've surfed with him, and I'm honored to call him my friend. My name is Kip Jurger, and it's my great pleasure to introduce to you a man I truly admire, Chris Barela.
Hello everybody, it's great to be back in Hermosa, and what a beautiful day it is today. God, I know it's a little hot, and I'm going to make it quick, right? But I just have a lot of thank yous, you know, people that put me in this position, you know, the people, the committee that voted me in here, and the people that supported me. Thanks for Doc for giving me a place to sleep last night. And because it's just down the street, so it was really good to come here this morning. God, I don't know what to say. I'm kind of nervous up here. But I want to thank Body Glove Wetsuits for being my sponsor. I want to thank Tuzo Jerger for being my surfing manager back in the day when he used to put together my proposals. I want to say thank you to Mike Purpose for putting me on his surf team and making me the surfer that I was. Thank you to all my teammates, Mike Benavidez, Terry Stevens, rest in peace, and all the boys from Hermosa. But I can't say enough. I could stand up here for hours and just thank people, but I'm just really honored to be here, and I can't say enough. Thank you, everybody, and I'll cut it here. Aloha. And thank you to my wife, Phoebe.
We've been remiss. We forgot to thank at the start of the program two ladies that this program would not be possible without their help. They're over at the t-shirt table. Lisa Nichols and Mindy Brown from the city of Hermosa. Lisa and Mindy, you cannot believe the effort they put into this. They deserve a big thank you from everyone here. And it is so very much appreciated for 15 straight years. Thank you, ladies.
Oh my gosh, Hermosa Beach, this day just gets better and better and better. It is an honor and a privilege to introduce two very important people in the surf industry's existence. Dennis Jarvis will be inducted, and he is a very influential person, not only in my life, but the community and the surf industry. Started off as a retailer, shaper, professional surfer, and just all-around visionary when it comes to everything surf in Hermosa Beach. Speaking on behalf of Dennis is industry legend Bob Hurley, the one and only man who has changed and influenced and promoted this surf community and lifestyle as we know it on a global level. So it's an honor and a privilege to introduce Mr. Bob Hurley.
Hi everybody, how's it going? What a great day. Hey, I have a really unique privilege, and life has been very blessed for me, but today's really special because I get to introduce a very good friend of mine who I've known for 35 years, and he's quite a legend, he's quite a businessman and a friend, and I want to share some facts with you guys. One thing about Dennis, you may or may not know, he's more self-aware than anybody I've ever met, actually, and I know a lot of people, and what a fun guy to talk to. He's actually got a heart of gold. Might not always seem like it, but he's quite an amazing human. Another thing about Dennis is he's a director. I don't know if you guys know that. He directs businesses and stuff, but he also has done some work in the screen industry. He worked on the movie Point Break with James Cameron, Catherine Bigelow, and Peter Iliff, the writer. He made surfboards for the movie Point Break. He taught Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, and Anthony Kiedis how to surf, and he's sort of a Hollywood celebrity. He's also an award-winning director in the Directors Guild of America. Dennis is also an excellent surfer, and he's a pretty darn good skateboarder. I used to see him come down to Huntington Beach years ago and think, who is that obnoxious little guy that's shredding? That was Dennis. He's had 3 covers of surf publications and been in numerous ads. Dennis is also a super good surfboard shaper. I used to have the privilege of shaping boards for a living, and Dennis was a guy I always looked up to. I'm a little older than him, but he was an innovator, so I drew inspiration from him. Dennis, in 1982, I think he invented the first 5-fin surfboard. You know, you saw in the last couple years Kelly Slater riding 5 fins, almost 30 years later. It's kind of a big deal. In 1995, Dennis, along with Tommy Peterson and Tom Curran, worked on the Fireball Fish, which was sort of the predecessor to today's shortboard revolution. Tom Curran was famous for riding that board in Sumbawa on giant waves. It was only a 5.7 when everyone else in the world was riding a 6.3 at the time. Between 1994 and 1997, most of the top surfers in the world were riding Spider surfboards shaped by Dennis Jarvis. At least half of the top 16 at some point was riding those boards, and they were really something. Dennis is a visionary and an entrepreneur. He translated that equity into a clothing company called Spiderville, which quickly became the hottest brand in the world. In 1995, Dennis and Spiderville, they were the deal. It was a really big thing. So, Spider Surf Shop has had numerous awards. Like, there's so many. I was going to read them to you guys, but it's just a long list that would put you to sleep. So I'll just tell you a quick story. Between 1998 and 2014, Spider Surfboards was voted the best surf shop, the best skate shop, the best snow shop, the best men's shop. Not once, not twice, not 5 times, 10 times, but 20 times. It might be the best shop. There's another Hermosa Beach legend here today, Tiger Naked, who I was always a huge fan of. Nice to meet you, Tiger. So Tiger had a quote about Dennis, which I agree with. Dennis Jarvis is one of the littlest groms in the South Bay, but he has become the king of Hermosa Beach. Another local surfer, Matt Warshaw, who wrote the Encyclopedia of Surfing, says, according to many, the lines on Dennis Jarvis's resume that read professional surfer, board builder, and businessman set him apart from many top surfers from the South Bay who opened businesses. Of that list, and it's quite a long one, Dennis is arguably the only who did well both in surfing and even better in business. Dennis is the most proud and thankful, because I asked him, because I had to speak here, actually I got to speak here, I said, Dennis, I don't want to miss anything, what are you most proud of? And he said he's most proud of still being able to play in this game, to live his life off of surfing and skateboarding in the community he loves. You know, you might not all know this, but our business is incredibly challenging, as all businesses are. But to survive and thrive for this long is quite an achievement, and I agree with him on that. That's something to be proud of. He's very, very proud of his family, his friends, his customers, and his wonderful community of Hermosa Beach. And I'd like to bring up my very good friend, Mr. Dennis Jarvis. He's big time in it. Thank you. Okay. First of all, how good are they? Right, let's give it up for the legends. Yeah, I grew up with those guys. Unbelievable surfers. But when you get my age, you do have to put on reading glasses. And I gotta tell you, I am a little nervous. So I want to tell a story. I actually had a really funny speech, and I'm going to keep it shorter this time, because my wife said she had a really bad dream that I went on and on and on, and everybody laughed. So I'm like, that's not a good thing, and I love her, so I want to try to do good. I want to thank Bob for stepping up here. I've known Bob for a really long time. I love him. He's a very talented shaper, and he's carved a lot of careers within the industry. And I just love the guy. So I'm going to read off of my script. And if I get a little too long, you guys can start booing me, and then I'll leave, and then we can turn the music up, right? I'm truly a blessed man. I get to do something that I love, and I get to do it with, and I'm fortunate enough to do it with the people I love. That's not it. I keep going here, all right? That should be it. But I've been privileged to do it with the people I love, and from the moment that I was shaping surfers, I was working with the best of the best. And from the time I picked up a Skill 100 planer, I've been surrounded by geniuses, and I've learned so much from so many, including Bob. But I'm going to hit on some people around here that I know you guys are all hot, but I'm going to hit on some people there. In my early career, I got to be friends and built boards for guys like Matt Warshaw, Mark Theodore, Bobby Burchell, Alan Sarlo, and a slew of the 70 surf stars. But I want to hit on a guy, Mark Huff, who was inspirational to Chris, myself, Derek. Unbelievable. He's living in Hawaii now, but he's truly a legend in my mind. A few years after I honed my skill in the Shaping Bay, I stumbled upon a few really talented groms that surfed out at 29th Street where I lived. And they became family to me. And for a few years, they were like living in my house. It was fun.
And they're going to be up here getting inducted soon. And I'm speaking of legends. That wasn't my water. I'm speaking of legends. Chris Frohoff, Kelly Gibson, and Ted Robinson. I built boards for these guys. They were unbelievable. I take them on surf trips, and I actually cut their hair. I would cut their hair. So as part of my shaping, I had a bowl cut wired. I also watched as their amateur careers skyrocketed. At the time, I was employed by another surf shop, and I asked the owner if he'd kind of flow some dough to help keep this unbelievable, dynamic team together. It was a small amount of money, but my boss said no. Needless to say, a competing surf shop knew their value and snagged them up faster than you can blink an eye. That was Kanoa, thanks to Chuzo and Kip for burning me on that one, but all I had left was me, right? And I thought, how do I continue to grow as a board builder and keep a brand going? So I had to do something really tricky. I became my own agent. And it's a fine line between promotion and over-the-top pride and ego. And I'm sure more times than not I was viewed as an egotistical, buoy-headed punk. And some of you probably still think I'm that way, but I'm not. However, one day I was surfing trestles and a man paddled up to me and he said, I surf pretty good. I said, well, yeah, I'm Dennis Jarvis, right? And he asked me to visit him in his office the same day, and I'm like, I think the guy wants to kill a good-looking, red-hearted surfer kid, so I don't know if I should. I was freaked out, but I went to his office and met him anyway. I also met some of his colleagues, and these names are giants in the industry. The man I was introduced to in the office was a guy named Jeff Devine. And the man who invited me to his office was Jim Kempton. He's here. It was Jim that put me on the cover of the 1982 Surfer magazine, and I thank you, Jim, for helping me out in my career. So later on, my pro career was over, and I had opened my shop. It was '83, and I had the opportunity to work with a bunch of red-hot, local grounds around here. Richard O'Reilly, Brian Bradfield, Mick Barber, just to name a few, but the one that became a true champion was Greg Browning. I was his board builder and he was my test pilot. And when I he got a little bit older, he was traveling so much that he needed a place to crash, so he became my roommate. And one year when we're all kind of hanging out and there was 10 of the hottest surfers in the world camped in my house, tearing the place to pieces, I overheard Donovan Frankenreiter say to Brad Gerlach, we're going to quit Xanadu. And I didn't hear why, but I heard it was going to happen. And it was at this moment that I knew there was a crack in the surfboard manufacturing industry, and I knew Spider Surfboards was going to fill that crack. But I needed help. And that help came from a friend that I went to high school with, and it just so happened he was one of the best photographers in the world. He still is. His name's Mike Balzer. Yeah, Mike Balzer. So Mike was instrumental in providing me with so many photos of our team riders that it catapulted us to the top in no time. Mind you, he never charged me a dime for any photo he supplied me with. He could have been paid hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for the shots, but he gave me the bra and gave me the pictures for free. I love you, Mike, wherever the heck you're at back. There he is. Telling you, unbelievable. Of course, it didn't hurt that Greg Browning was a top pro, and at the time he worked closely with Taylor Steele. For those that don't know, Greg was the one who plays Pennywise music in all of the surf films, Momentum, Momentum 2, and all the rest that Taylor was doing with him. Greg actually created a whole genre of surf movie music. People are trying to hurt me up here. That's my cue. He was instrumental in connecting me with so many talented surfers. I have to say that Mike and Greg were the backbone of how we became what we became. And thank you, Greg. He's not here today, but I do appreciate him, and I love that guy. We had 4-time world champion Tom Curran, Ross Williams, Benji Weatherly, Conan Hayes, Greg Browning, Frankie Oberholzer, Ben Bourgeois, and our local Alex Gray from PV. He was supposed to be here. He didn't make it. We had a ton of guys, and I have to say that Mike and Greg were instrumental in that. There's no way I'd be up here without them and dozens more that helped me guide me on this path. For that, I want to say thank you all. I think the future is bright. There's a new energy running inside our surf industry, and I'm optimistic for the future and industry of our town. In closing, I want to say thank you to the city of Hermosa Beach for doing all you do for all of us knuckleheaded, crazy guys up here. I feel immensely grateful to be mentioned in the same breath as these guys. I'd like to give a couple shout outs. I want to thank Pat Ryan, who's been instrumental to me on so many levels. I love you, brother. One day you will be up here. I want to thank Allison Hopkins, who's Allison Hopkins, Chris Broman, Jeff Clark, Jake Duggins for putting up with my madcap ideas and steering the spider ship so I can still go in the Shaping Bay and remain creative. I'd like to thank Kevin Sousa for believing that I was worthy of getting inducted and filling out. Okay, the application. And I can't say enough about this guy. Dickie O'Reilly. Was that applause for me or for Dickie? No. He's been a great partner. And a friend I can always count on. I want to thank my three kids, Luke, Jamie, and Noah, for putting up with their crazy father, and my wife, Crystal, for being my best friend and so understanding. And she's been putting up with the Dennis Jarvis show for close to 17 years, which is a tough thing, but I love you. Right now I'd like to ask Yanni Lang and Richard O'Reilly to come to the stage. Rich, I hope you're out there. How many people here went to the Point Break play last night? All right. Well, was it fun? You had a good time? Well, I couldn't do any of these events without Yanni Lang and Dickie O'Reilly. And the cast were so awesome to us. They gave us a discounted rate last night. And what we've done is all the proceeds from last night's event we want to give to the city. And we want to share this with everybody. You could give that to Mayor Peter Tucker. We just think this is the best town. You guys have kept us in business for 32 years. I've got nothing left to say except for thank you guys so much and have a great day.
Everybody that made it here today. We really appreciate it, and we're very honored